Well, in other news, local government budgets are propped up with property taxes, but that revenue isn't growing the same way it used to, leading to tough conversations about cuts or maybe even tax hikes. Garrett Berger explains how it all matters to you.
It's probably not a terrible year to pay taxes if you already own your own home. A soft real estate market means home reappraisals are down overall in Bexar County.
I haven't seen a market like this since maybe 2008, 2009, when the housing bubble.
Bottom line, as they look to what they can expect to bring in next year beyond from property tax, local governments are worrying.
This will not be a steady as she goes kind of budget this upcoming year.
At the city of San Antonio, more than a quarter of the general fund, which pays for things like police, fire, and libraries, comes from property tax revenue, which the city is expecting less of. Overall, it's looking at a $131 million shortfall within 2 years. So they're already discussing spending cuts, maybe even a tax hike.
But it's not lost upon me that the city hasn't increased the tax rate in 33 years.
The city can only raise a certain amount of new property tax revenue every year without triggering an election. And we don't know to what rate they might try to raise it yet.
Over at the county, they're facing a similar slowdown in property tax revenue, which they're even more reliant on.
And our general fund consists of about 80% of property taxes. So it includes the jail, sheriff's department, law enforcement, the courts, our district attorney's office.
They've got an extra year compared to the city before a projected deficit. Their budget director says the county's not talking cuts or tax hikes yet, but definitely pumping the brakes.
The county is used to adding a pretty significant amount. This year, we're looking to actually slow that down significantly.
Previous efforts, she told commissioners, have included no cost of living raises, freezing vacant positions, no new programs, no new capital projects, and adjusting health insurance for employees.
And we're not asking for any action, but these are the things that we'll be looking at for the upcoming process for fiscal year 27.
Values can still change as people protest their appraisals, so local governments won't know until the end of July how much they can truly expect.
You still have some time to protest your property appraisal, which will affect how much tax you pay. The deadline to file online is 11:59 p.m. on May 15th. That's this Friday. I'm Garrett Berger, KSAT 12 News.
Shalom, shalom. Call halayim la Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. Waha, Raha, Kodash. All praises and glory go to you, Lord. Double honors and respect go to our apostles, bishops, elders, and teachers, the men of Great Millstone. To you I say shalom. Salutations to the hopeful elect, it's your brother Amraya, and this is Psalms 94 and verse 20. It says, "Shall the throne of iniquity have fellowship with thee, which frameth mischief by a law?" All right. And there's a specific reason I began with this particular precept, because you have quite literally a housing market that is crashing because of mischievous laws, all right, which were framed by the laws, all right. Now, speaking with what's going on here in San Antonio, this news article was from my local town, but this is no exception. All across the country, this is happening. You have a hike in property taxes. After the pandemic, a lot of people started to migrate from different expensive cities down into Texas, and they were told that there's no luxury tax, all right? But this was one of those situations where you had to look into it a little further, all right? So people started, pouring in from California, New York, etc., and buying the houses overpriced, all right? The house should have been $180,000, and they would come down here with a cash offer 50% more than the actual asking price, all right? Borrowing, they literally pushed people out the market who couldn't afford to keep up with those demands, and this was during the pandemic, scamdemic, whatever. Now, what in fact happened after that was the property taxes went up because they were based on the 180,000, and then you purchase for 240,000. They're going to base your property tax off the 240,000 now, and it only goes up, as we already know. Taxes go up, insurance goes up, but they never go back down. All right. Now, why is this important, you may ask? The American dream of achieving home ownership it's done. It's popped. The same as in 2008, where people were given loans for houses they couldn't afford. It's a very similar situation going on right now because people are purchasing, let's say they purchase a new build home here in Texas. They're misleading them about the property taxes because the The initial estimate for taxes is only on the land. When you construct a building on the land, the property tax goes up quite a bit. All right. So one is not going to go in at the lower end of their approval rate for a loan. They tend to be at the higher end of their budget. So people get these loans for these properties, and then 1 year later, when the property tax goes up, they find out there's not enough money in escrow. All right. And that deals with property tax and house insurance. When there's not enough money, the bill goes up. So it goes up substantially. A lot of people's bills were going up $1,000, $1,200, $1,400 a month at a time. So at a house you were already stretched to your limits at $2,400, goes up to $3,600 a month. You can no longer afford the house. All right. And this is why they're not able to collect property taxes, because a lot of people have been foreclosed upon, including my neighbor, which this happened to. All right. He purchased a house. They assessed the property value at higher than he was expecting. All right. And unfortunately, he couldn't afford it. And now the house belongs to the bank. All right. A lot of people are experiencing this homelessness. All right. And this is all mischief framed by law. All right. Robbing Peter to pay Paul. They were going to get it from him one way or the other. All right. And for any of you thinking about buying a home, don't. It's unaffordable. There's a reason why they were talking about this is looking like 2008, where there was a crash. All right. Because they were giving loans to people who couldn't afford the houses. And right now, people cannot afford these expensive ass overpriced ass houses. And they're not going down on prices. They're only going up on the taxes, on the insurance, making it unobtainable. That's why you see people living in vans and box trucks and all this other jazz, because they have been pushed out of the American dream. It's an illusion. All right. And the Lord has worse coming to America, Babylon the Great. America is about to be destroyed. All right. This is why it says in Nahum, let's grab it. Chapter 3, verse 1, it says, "Woe to the bloody city. It is all full of lies and robbery." Right. All right. You sign up thinking you're getting this 30-year mortgage. You're going to raise your family in this house. All right. You were struggling a little bit to get into this house. You gave up your life savings to put down upon the house. And then here you find out a year later that you cannot afford the house. And they knew this when they sold you the home. Woe to the bloody city. It is all full of lies and robbery. Right. They just ran you through a scheme, a little Ponzi scheme. Huh? The prey departeth not. And who is the prey, you may ask? Especially dealing with this housing market. By the way, I forgot to even mention, they were talking about they haven't raised property taxes in 30 years. They want to raise them even higher. They're not going to stop. This is why the Lord say you may have to be as pilgrims upon the earth. And again, who is their prey? Who are they going after with these schemes, man? All right. I'll tell you, it's Jake, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, North American Indians, and you confusion of faces with your bad credit and your hope for that American dream here in Babylon, you know? It's not going to happen, fam. And so many of you are finding out. They will rob you blind, all right? It's all a bunch of pits, all a bunch of snares here, man. The housing system is no better. And when they wear you out over these houses and your health gets bad, then they drain the rest of it from you with their medical pit. Running up these bills so far that you have nothing left to leave your seed. And that's if you worked hard, because some of Jake didn't do nothing. So they just let them die, okay? After they get them sick. Scrolling down real quick. Nahum 3 and verse 18. Thy shepherds slumber, O king of Assyria. I always say America is spiritual Assyria. All right? Spiritual Babylon, spiritual Sodom and Gomorrah, spiritual Egypt, spiritual Rome. All of these wicked spirits wrapped up into one. Verse 18, thy shepherds slumber, O king of Assyria. Thy nobles shall dwell in the dust, meaning confusion. Thy people is scattered upon the mountains, and no man gathereth them. There is no healing of thy bruise. Thy wound is grievous, right? There's no repairing of this place. Its wound is grievous, all right? That deadly wound that was healed, it just festered and kept getting worse and worse. And America, Babylon the Great is now at a point where it is incurable, all right? And ultimately, now is the time for her downfall, all right? Verse 19 again, there is no healing of thy bruise. Thy wound is grievous. All that hear the bruit of thee shall clap the hands over thee, for upon whom have not thy wickedness passed continually? Right. All right. And this ain't going to be too long. This is just letting you Israelites out there know the American dream is an illusion. And if you haven't figured that out by now, you're probably going down with the ship. All right. We're going to end out in Isaiah 10, verse 1. It says, woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees. That means pass mischievous laws, fam. And that right grievousness which they have prescribed, right? They knew the entire time that a majority of people were just gun-ho to get into the house and didn't really weigh out the cost, all right? I'll tell you what, I was talking to someone earlier today, and I said the difference between worshiping and praying to, Jebus and to our power right now is the difference is understanding, all right? My power, Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, have revealed secrets unto me, have given me understanding, all right? And I understand this is not our rest. We don't have a continuing city here, okay? Salaki, I thought I got a mosquito on me. But we don't have a continuing city, a place of rest. This is not our rest, all right? So we're fighting for something that is not for us. Fight for something that is for you. You want to fight for something, Israelite? You so-called Negroes, Latinos, North American Indians, you confusion of faces. Fight for your salvation. Isaiah 10:1 again. Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees, and that right grievousness which they have prescribed, to turn aside the needy from judgment, and to take away the right from the poor of my people, right? The Israelites. The target of most of these pits and scams. All right. Redlining, making sure you couldn't ever get a loan for a house. All right. That 40 acres and a mule bamboozlement. Okay. All manner of ways this devil has turned aside the needy from judgment to take away their rights because they are the people of the Lord. This devil has to go, man. Continue reading. That widows may be their prey, and that they may rob the fatherless. And what will you do? Huh? What will you do, Esau, Edom, in the day of visitation and in the desolation which shall come from far? To whom will you flee for help? Or where will you leave your glory? Right. They're going to bow down to the slaughter. All right. Ultimately, Esau, Edom's days in rulership are numbered, and we are at the last seconds of his rulership. Anyone attached to this system is going down with the ship. And as I'm pointing out with this epistle, the American dream is a lie. Woe to the bloody city. It is full of lies and robbery. You may have to be as pilgrims upon the earth, man. Let all of this vain glory that you would receive by having material gain here in America, Babylon the Great, let all that go. And realize where your true value lies is in stacking up your riches in heaven, all right, with Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Hopefully this has been edifying. Till the next time, Shalom.